You just found out. Your partner, someone else. Your stomach drops, your face goes hot, and somewhere in the back of your skull, a very old, very loud voice starts screaming. Here is the uncomfortable part. That voice is not modern. That voice is older than cities, older than farming, older than the wheel. So, what did ancient humans do about cheating partners? The answer ranges from quietly divorcing them, to publicly shaming them, to, in one group of humans we will get to, deliberately encouraging it. Yes, encouraging it. Hold on to that because it is going to break your brain a little later. Let us start with the feeling itself, because that is where everything begins. That hot, sick, jealous spike you feel, that is not a personality flaw, and it is not because you watch too much reality TV. It is a piece of equipment. Scientists actually put this under a microscope back in 1992, and what they found was that jealousy shows up in humans everywhere, in every culture they looked at, with the same basic shape. Jealousy is not a bug, it is standard issue. Every single human comes with it installed, the same way you come with a startle reflex. Your great 10,000 times great-grandparents felt the exact same churn in their gut that you felt the last time your partner laughed a little too hard at someone else's joke. You think you invented being insecure. You did not. You inherited it. So, if the feeling is ancient, the drama is ancient too. And here is the first surprise. For most of human history, the people most likely to lose their minds over a cheating partner were not strangers in some far-off land. They were behaving exactly like the people in your group chat right now. A camp of hunter-gatherers facing a rumor of infidelity did the same thing your friends do when someone's relationship implodes. They talked about it, constantly. They picked sides. They whispered around the fire about who did what to whom. Gossip was not a guilty pleasure 40,000 years ago. It was the justice system. It was the courtroom, the jury, and the group chat all at once. But that is not even the strange part. The strange part is how organized this got. When researchers comb through the records of small-scale societies all over the planet, one pattern jumps out, and it is almost funny how consistent it is. Across wildly different cultures that never met each other, the rules around adultery look weirdly similar. Sneaking around with a married person was treated as an offense, and this is the part that should make you wince. The person treated as the wounded party was very often the husband, as if a wife were a possession that had been damaged. Different continents, different languages, same possessive logic. We would love to believe that idea is some ugly invention of one bad century. It is not. It shows up almost everywhere humans show up, which is a much more uncomfortable thing to learn. And this is where it stops being a fun anthropology fact and starts getting dark, so stay with me. Two researchers spent years going through homicide records, and they found that male sexual jealousy was one of the single most common reasons men killed. Not just their partners, but other men they saw as rivals. That same protective instinct that makes you double-check who liked your partner's photo is dialed all the way up and stripped of every guardrail, one of the oldest and deadliest forces in human history. The feeling is universal. What people choose to do with it is the whole question. You would think the rest of this story is just variations on punishment. Every instinct says it has to be, but that assumption is about to fall apart completely. Because most ancient humans, day to day, did not actually go to the dramatic extreme. Most of the time, the response to a cheating partner was stunningly familiar. They broke up. In a lot of foraging societies, marriage was not a cage welded shut for life. If it stopped working, people separated, moved on, and remarried, sometimes more than once. Anthropologists studying these groups basically describe serial monogamy, a string of committed relationships, one after another, with the occasional messy overlap, which means the modern dating cycle you think is a symptom of apps and late-night chaos. People were running that exact loop with stone tools. You did not invent the breakup and the rebound. You just gave it a worse soundtrack. Now, the thing I promised you, the group of humans who did the opposite of everything we have said so far. Because in several societies across the Amazon, people held a belief so different from ours that it rewires the entire question. They believed a baby could have more than one father. The idea was that a child was literally built up over the course of a pregnancy from every man the mother was with. So a child could have a main father and one or more secondary fathers, and everyone involved knew it and was more or less fine with it. A woman might take a lover on purpose. And here is the detail that genuinely stuns people. When anthropologists looked at the actual numbers, in some of these groups, children with a recognized second father were more likely to survive, because they had more than one man obligated to feed them and protect them. Read that again. In a place with no hospitals and no safety net, a little strategic infidelity was not a betrayal. It was life insurance for your kid. Sit with how strange that is. Everything that hot, jealous voice in your skull is screaming that this is the worst thing a partner can do. that it must be punished, that it threatens everything. An entire culture of humans looked at the same act and decided it was a smart way to keep a baby alive. Same species, same brain. Completely opposite answer. The jealousy was never the law of nature. It was just one common setting on a dial that turns out to have a lot of settings. The cave wall version of marriage had way more options than yours does. And here's the part where you have to look in the mirror, because all of this is really about you. The reason this whole topic hits a nerve is that nothing in it is foreign. The gossip, the side-taking, the possessiveness, the breakups, and the rebounds. The quiet bargaining over whether someone is worth staying with, you do every single one of these things. You just do them over text, with a lawyer, or in a comment section, under a stranger's breakup video. The technology changed. The wiring did not move a single inch. You are running 50,000-year-old software on a slightly nicer screen. A quick honest note before we land this. This video discusses anthropological and archaeological research for educational purposes. Modern hunter-gatherer observations are used as comparative models to understand ancient human behavior, not as definitive proof of how all ancient humans lived across different time periods and geographies. The point was never that every ancient human did one tidy thing. The point is that they were clearly improvising, fumbling, and arguing about love, exactly the same as us. So go back to the very beginning. You, finding out, stomach dropping, that ancient voice screaming in your skull. That voice is real, and it is old, and it is doing exactly what it was built to do. But it is not a command, and it never was. Some humans listened to it. Some humans built shame and law and violence around it. And some humans looked it dead in the eye and decided a second father at the dinner fire was worth more than their pride. The cheating, it turns out, was never the interesting part. What we decide to feel about it, that is the most human thing we have ever done.